Very good question. Can you fail a SOC 2 audit?
There we go. Can you fail? Well, not really. So a SOC 2 examination is not a pass-fail exercise. So in receiving a SOC 2 examination, you receive an opinion from an independent CPA auditor that the description of your system is presented appropriately, that your controls are designed to meet the service commitments and system requirements that you have established for your system, and that those controls are operating effectively for that period of review, that time period, for a type 2 SOC 2 report. All right. If your system is presented correctly, your controls are designed and operating effectively, then you will receive what's called an unqualified report. And that is the best type of audit opinion that an auditor can give. However, if some of the controls are not operating effectively, you could still receive an unqualified report. So in the section of the report where it details each of your controls and the tests that the auditor did and whether those controls passed, there is a pass-fail part for each individual control. And so some of those controls could have failed or not operated perfectly, meaning maybe you hired 25 new employees during the audit review period. And in the sample that the auditor chose, 2 of those employees did not complete the new hire orientation and the new hire training. So therefore, that onboarding control did not pass. But 2 out of the sample does not mean your entire report fails. It just means that one control did not failed. Having 1 or just a few controls fail does not mean that your entire report fails, and you can still receive an unqualified report. However, if a bunch of controls did not operate, or if a few controls concentrated in one area, for example, in your change management process, if 3 or 4 of the controls that are part of your change management process failed, or 3 or 4 of the controls that are part of your backup process failed, then you could receive what's called a qualified report, because that area, change management or backups, the whole area failed because of 3 or 4 controls. So a qualified report states that, it means the auditor states that overall your controls are good, except for the controls around change management, or except for the controls around backups. And so the auditor is going to call out those particular failures because the auditor feels in his or her professional judgment that those control failures are significant enough that the reader needs to see those immediately at the beginning of the report. Of course, you still have a SOC 2 report, you still completed a SOC 2 examination, and your clients can decide, they can read it and they can decide if those individual control failures are significant enough to terminate the relationship with your organization, or if they can deal with that and that meets their risk profile and it is not significant enough for them to terminate the relationship. Everybody has a different risk profile. You see that easily on the highway. Some people are extremely risk adverse and they drive the exact speed limit and they stay in the right-hand lane and they keep 3 or 4 car links between them and the car in front of them, etc. Other people have a higher risk tolerance and they're in the left-hand lane and they're doing 15 or 20 miles an hour over the speed limits and they're riding right on the bumper of the car in front of them. Those are individual risk profiles. We also see that with companies. So having a few controls fail for one of your customers may not be a big deal. For another customer, that may be something of a concern. However, you as the organization getting the SOC 2 examination, you have the option and the opportunity to respond to any of the control failures or exceptions, as auditors call them. And so you get to respond, and your response goes in the report. So your customers, the readers of the report, they can see that one of your controls failed, or for example, 2 new hires didn't receive the new hire training. You could respond that those 2 new hires started right at the beginning of a holiday, and then they had a personal issues that took them out, and when they come back, it just slipped through the cracks, and you have created further monitoring processes to make sure that all new employees are going to receive the training. So you can provide a response to anything that might have an exception in your testing. And something to remember is a SOC 2 report, it's a reporting framework. So a SOC 2 is not a control framework like ISO, it's a reporting framework. So the controls are up to management, and how you implement those controls is up to management. So if you understand where the CPAs, where SOC 2s come from, they come out of the AICPA, the American Institute for Certified Public Accountants. And the organization designed financial disclosures and financial audit reports, audit financial statements. And when you come from that perspective, CPA auditors are all about disclosure, whether it is financial risk on financial statements or IT risk with a SOC 2 report. We as CPAs want to provide the readers of either the financial statements or the SOC reports the information needed for the readers of those statements or reports to make an appropriate financial or IT risk decision. People still invest in companies that are losing money, and the financial statements disclose that those companies are losing money, and people still choose to invest in them. People will still work with vendors who have controls that don't operate effectively all the time. From an audit perspective, from a CPA perspective, we just want to make sure that the readers of the reports have the appropriate information, the disclosure, to make an appropriate risk-based decision either with their data in a SOC report or their money with financial statements.
That is an amazing response, Ben, that the details of the report really tell the true story, and it is not a pass or fail. So thank you for sharing this.
Yes, ma'am.
For more information, click on the link below or visit databrackets.com.